The Soviet invasion of Afghanistan was a cogent force in the country, which has had significant impacts politically, socially, and economically on the country and its people. From September to December 1979, the military situation in Afghanistan continued to deteriorate. This prompted the Soviets to use their own troops to gain time for the new regime and to restore order and rebuild the Afghan army. On December 24, 1979, the Soviet Defense Ministry ordered troops into Afghanistan. This was to secure trade routes and to have access to Gulf oil. King Zahir Shah led a vulnerable and unpopular monarchy. He was later forced into exile by his prime minister, Daoud Khan, who becomes leader. The People's Democratic Party of Afghanistan, the Communist Party, formed to overthrow the monarchy but split into two factions over different beliefs. The Khalq, the more radical with a traditional view of Marxism, and the Parcham, who believed in a slow, gradual movement towards socialism. On April 27, 1978, the PDPA overthrows and kills Daoud Khan in a bloody revolution. The Khalq faction leader, Muhammad Taraki, becomes president and renames the country the Democratic Republic of Afghanistan. In 1978, a rebellion takes Taraki's rule and turns it into an extremist movement that sparked the civil war in Afghanistan. President Taraki is assassinated after rebel groups storm his palace in Kabul and capture him. His deputy, Prime Minister, Hafizullah Amin, worked with the Soviets and ordered Taraki's execution. Taraki is suffocated to death and Amin takes power. The KGB believed Amin was incompetent and needed to be replaced with a popular leader that followed Soviet beliefs less radically. 104 days into his rule, Amin is assassinated by KGB agents. The Soviets take control in December 1979 and assign the Parcham faction leader, Kamal Barbak, as head of the country. The U.S. establishes military ties with Pakistan in 1954. As a result, Afghanistan turns to the Soviets for support. The Soviets' invasion was modeled after their 1968 invasion of Czechoslovakia. The Soviets used tactics such as airborne troops, chemical weapons, helicopters, and terror. By the end of January in 1980, the Soviet troops in Afghanistan totaled 50,000. In 1988, the Geneva Accords between Pakistan and Afghanistan called for the Soviets to begin withdrawing troops. On February 8, 1988, President Gorbachev announced that the Soviet troops would begin withdrawing from Afghanistan on May 15th. However, the withdrawal was not complete until February 15, 1989. This civil war continued as the Mujahideen fought against Najibullah's rule. He was removed from power in 1992. This caused the Taliban to take over. Following the invasion, in August 1981, two Mujahideen coalitions formed, called the Moderate and the Fundamentalists. As a result, the Mujahideen attacks became more effective. By the year 1985, as many as 5 million Afghans were estimated to be displaced by the war. Following this invasion, women were forbidden from attending school or holding employment outside of the home. Since the 1980s, television has been banned and efforts have been made to purge the country of any Western influence. As an attempt to make amends, the DRA, the USR, and the US and Pakistan signed the peace accords. As a result, the Soviets began pulling out their troops. During the invasion, the CIA, the Saudis, and the Persian Gulf Emirates contributed billions of dollars to support the Mujahideen. However, when the Soviets withdrew from Afghanistan, the PDPA government was left to fend for themselves. The CIA and other organizations lost interest, and as a result, they left Afghanistan in ruins. They left them to rebuild themselves after a mass devastation. The country was left extremely poor as a result. This impoverishment is prevalent to this day. In fact, as many as 8 million Afghans may starve this winter as a result of a loss of food. These results were made worse by the U.S. Between hundreds and thousands of Afghanis have been killed by U.S. bombs and Taliban warlords. Currently, there is no end in sight to the misery. Much like the past of Afghanistan, the future of Afghanistan looks rather bleak. It is unknown when the U.S. will end its war or how much longer the Taliban will continue to fight. There are speculations that Afghanistan will come up with some sort of coalition government. However, the future is unknown. Thanks for watching iCarly. This is us signing off.